Hey everybody, what is going on? XX here with another Master Duel video for you guys. So today we're going to be taking another look at Swordsoul Tenyi, but I've actually done a little bit of adjusting to the build, not just per recommendations from you all during my last Swordsoul Tenyi video in the comments, but also based on the ban list that we saw. So obviously the ban list is not up yet at the time this video is going out. It is not quite the 31st just yet, nor is it then obviously during the time that I'm recording this, but I figured that Swordsoul Tenyi already is losing so little, which is just say nothing pretty much from the new ban list changes there, that I decided to just go ahead and practice out a post ban list build. Really just meaning I cut down to one Crossout Designator. I was playing 2 copies before, and we were at 40 cards. I cut one out and then added 3 Pot of Desires here. Pot of Desires is recommended by a lot of you all in the last video there, and I thought about it for not even that hard. I was like, yeah, actually, why not? Why aren't we playing Pot of Desires? Honestly, normally with the Pot of cards, I don't like going above 40 cards if I'm playing one, although that's more for Duality and Prosperity. Desires is a little bit different. Duality and Prosperity are more about filtering, right? Desires is about sheer card advantage. Desires is actually not good for filtering, particularly. By filtering, what I mean, by the way, is looking for a single useful card that you need. Desires rather, is kind of counterintuitive to that because it banishes the 10 top cards of your deck face down, 10 random cards. You could very easily banish excuse me, the one card that you're looking for if you're trying to use Desires in a filtering fashion. That's why Desires is not about filtering, unlike Duality and Prosperity and I guess to a slight extent Extravagance. Extravagance is a little bit about filtering and advantage, but Desires is about sheer card advantage, right? Just getting that +1, drawing 2 cards for 1 card, and minimal other investment. The minimal investment obviously being banishing the top 10 cards of your deck face down. Swordsoul Tenyi is a deck that can get away with doing that pretty easily, because as you can see, we're playing a lot of 3-ofs here. All of our most important cards are at least 2, if not 3 of. There are a couple of important cards that are 1-ofs, namely the Deskbot. Obviously if we banish this, then we can't do our Halqifibrax combo anymore, but that's usually not that big of a deal, honestly. Especially if you're gaining advantage off of Desires resolving, then usually that advantage alone, you'll have more than enough plays to be able to power through without having to necessarily rely on Halqifibrax. We are, of course, still playing the Halqifibrax lineup, as it is still going to be very legal and very powerful following this upcoming ban list. So yeah, I already went over the changes to the deck from the previous iteration. Yeah, I did actually, and I tend to do this with all of my decks whenever I update them, right? It's not as simple as I take out some cards and I put in some cards. Whenever I update a deck, period, I like to just start over from blank slate. I'll just take every card out of the deck, even cards I know I'm going to play, like the 3 Mo Ye, the Taias, whatever. I'll just take everything out, so that way it's just for me, it just makes it easier to start with a blank slate, how to think about the deck moving forward. Because if you try to swap some cards out for some in, then you kind of get caught up, or at least I do anyway. I kind of tend to get caught up in this mentality of making sure that I'm replacing, that they're quality replacements, but that's kind of not how you have to think about it when you're fine-tuning your deck for a new format. I think it's really just better to build from the ground up. So I did that, took everything out, put everything back in. We only ended up with a very minor card difference, and that does tend to usually be the case, but I actually like when that happens, because that means that it's just reaffirmed what I had already suspected, the changes, these simple swaps I wanted to make, but by going through a more thorough process to get to that point, as opposed to just making a quick judgment. So we're definitely still playing Harpie's Feather Duster. I did debate taking this card out and going down to 41 cards, but again, the Desires going up to 42 isn't that big of a deal with them, and the Feather Duster is going to be particularly important moving forward, as I think we are going to enter a format where Eldritch and Flandres will probably see, as well as maybe some other side decks, see a little bit more play. Particularly Flandres did not get hit very hard by the ban list, so and Eldritch, yeah, they lost Imperial Imperial Order, Vanity's Eclipse, and 1 skill drain, but that's really not that huge of a hit to that deck. So yeah, Harpie's Feather Duster is definitely going to be a mainstay moving forward, and I think, in my opinion, we'll probably see a little bit more of it. Again, if the meta actually shifts in the direction I think it's going to, that is, again, Eldritch and Flandres and other Sun decks seeing a little bit more play and a slight increase in power level, then, yeah, I think Harpie's Feather Duster is going to be particularly important moving forward. Plus, Swordsoul Tenyi in particular already has such a weakness to back rows. We saw the evidence of this during the Swordsoul Tenyi format during Season 5, right, where Eldritch towards the end of that before the adventure pack came out. I guess that was more like season 5 and 6, and then kind of part of 7 too. Towards the end of that, we started to see Eldritch really start to rise in popularity because they were preying upon all these Swordsoul Tenyi decks that are already naturally weak to their back rows, but also were not, for the most part, playing Harpie's Feather Duster to counter said back rows. So, yeah, I think Harpie's Feather Duster is going to be particularly important for this deck and all decks in general. Well, most combo-based decks, I should say, but this deck in particular, I think moving forward, it's going to be important to include the Feather Duster. So, alright, now as always, let us go ahead and break down the build card by card and then take a look at some gameplay. So we are running 1 Deskbot 001, 3 Tenyi Spirit Adhara, 3 Maxx, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 3 Swordsoul of Mo Ye, 2 Swordsoul of Taia, 2 Incredible Ecclesia, the Virtuous, 3 Swordsoul Strategist Longyuan, 2 Tenyi Spirit Vishuda, 3 Tenyi Spirit Ashuna, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 Archnemesis Protos, 1 Harpie's Feather Duster, 3 Pot of Desires, 2 4 Dragon Cycle, 3 Swordsoul Emergence, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Crossout Designator, 2 Infinite Impermanence, and then 1 Swordsoul Blackout. Extra deck is going to contain 1 Yazi, Evil of the Zing, 2 Baxia, Brightness of the Zing, 1 Borreload, Savage Dragon, 1 Draco, Berserker of the Tenyi, 2 Swordsoul Grandmaster, Chixiao, 1 Chao Fang, Phantom of the Zing, 1 Baronne de Fluer, 1 Swordsoul Supreme Sovereign Chengying, 2 Monk of the Tenyi, 1 Crystron Halqifibrax, 1 Shaman of the Tenyi, and then finally, of course, 1 Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon. Okay, so now that we all know what is in the build, let's go and take a look at some games. Alright, so this first duel here is actually going to be against a mirror match, but they are definitely not playing they're not testing their post-manless build as they're playing 3 Crossout Designators and a Vanity's Emptiness, so I don't believe we really encounter much of that here, but we will see some evidence of it get swept away, shall we say. So, opponent is going to take the first turn. They lead with the Desires. I actually thought they were playing some kind of Sun deck, because as you can see, they're just going to set 3 and pass here. So, it's actually kind of interesting to learn now that my opponent's playing Swordsoul Tenyi. It makes me wonder, like, what would their hand have to look like for them to set 3 and pass with 3 other cards? Like, what could their 3 other cards possibly be here, right? Because I guess we'll just see the game moving forward. I'm pretty sure they don't. No, I think they do have some kind of hand draw. Well, whatever. We'll just see. Anyway, so they do set 3 and pass again. I thought this was like some sort of a Eldritch deck or something. So anyway, I'm actually going to lead with Desires and not the Feather Duster, which looks a little bit weird, but here's the thing, right? I'm a big believer in allowing your opponent a chance to misplay, and I think one of the ways that we can do that here, again, I assumed we were playing against Eldritch, so assuming we were playing against Eldritch, I actually do want to activate the Desires before the Feather Duster, because, like, it's not very likely, but it is very slightly possible that my opponent could expend a big negate, like maybe a Solemn Judgment even against a Pot of Desires. Again, not likely in the slightest, but again, I'm just always, if the play difference very rarely matters or doesn't matter at all, which I felt it did here, I like allowing my opponent those, again, opportunities to misplay. Because there is a world where I play this Desires, your opponent flips Solemn Judgment for some reason, and then you can just Feather Duster the rest of their back row. Now that doesn't happen here, well, because we're not playing against Eldritch. They actually do respond with Maxx, which is ultimately going to be, I think, fine, because we're going second is what I keep meaning to say there. We're going second, so I don't have to really worry about not being able to kill the opponent this turn as long as they don't get something like a Nibiru. But we're even able to lead with the Baron here, which is another reason why I'm reasonably confident that we're going to be able to push through for game this turn. So, yeah, if you take a look at the back rows that we hit here, actually, let me pause this here. We did actually hit the Vanity's Emptiness as well as a Droplet and a Call By. So when I saw the Droplet, I realized, like, okay, this isn't Eldritch, but I guess, like, now with context clues, well, also now that I know, yeah, I could have maybe guessed it was Swordsoul Tenyi that was teching the Vanity's Emptiness. That is not an unheard of tech from the deck, but that was kind of what was throwing me off and trying to figure out what I was playing against, because especially nowadays, it's not particularly common to see Vanity's Emptiness in Swordsoul Tenyi, and, well, of course, obviously, it won't be moving forward either, but, yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and lead with the Baron here, obviously put the big body out as well as deal 1200 damage here. Now we just got to find a lethal with this Taia, which is potentially a little bit trickier than it might seem, because you might just default into going to Chixiao, but in order to lethal here, I'm actually going to go for Baxia, naturally not going to activate the effect to bounce my monsters, and then I'll send in Ashuna just for good measure, but I don't think I'm going to need it here, because I'm just going to Baxia, pop my face down, Blackout, and then just smack my opponent for lethal with everything I've got, which they realize and then concede, which, I mean, bro, they could have just let me attack 2 more times, but, you know, whatever, to each their own. I guess they saved themselves, what, like 5 seconds, so... yeah, so that was a nice going second game against a bunch of backers. I mean, we did open the Harpies for that Esther, but at least we got to talk a little bit about, again, you know, potential baits that might seem kind of weird. Like, again, the idea of the opponent summoning a pot of desires randomly doesn't make a lot of sense and won't happen in a lot of worlds, but there are worlds where it does happen. And again, I just believe in affording the opponent the opportunity to misplay when you have the chance to. So, all right, let's go and take a look at the next game. Alright, so this next game is going to be against the Despia deck. I've actually gotten a lot of comments lately asking if I'm going to cover Despia. I'm probably going to end up waiting until the new support comes out just because, you know, I do have a lot of decks right now currently in my roster that I am, you know, trying to cover. So, plus, you know, I will admit that I don't have quite all the cards I'd like for a Despia build, like with this current, you know, card pool. And I would rather wait until the new Despia pack comes out to try to pull old stuff than just buy old packs to try to, you know, pull it now. But anyway, so yeah, we're going to lead with the Swordsoul of Mo Ye here. Or sorry, the incredible Ecclesia, the Virtuous, which might look a little weird because I've already got the Mo Ye and the Longyuan in hand. But I like the idea of using the Ecclesia here for multiple reasons. The main reason being, of course, that if we summon the Mo Ye, then we reveal the Longyuan, sure, but then we don't guarantee to have the ability to set up the Longyuan, because then, you know, we don't have another Swordsoul or Worm card in hand to discard. You gotta remember, Incredible Ecclesia, the Virtuous herself is not a Swordsoul or a Worm monster, so even though she can support the archetype, she, in some ways, in the fact that, you know, through her effect, she does not directly support them as a name or type for the effect. So that's one of the main reasons I want to summon Ecclesia and then use the effect to grab a Mo Ye from deck. Also, I like to reveal the other Mo Ye here because it makes my hand look worse than it actually is to my opponent, which might cause them to play hand traps a little bit more loosely. Again, just this idea of affording the opponent to the opportunity to misplay when possible, and when it doesn't affect your own plays too much, because I'm just going to pitch this Mo Ye for the Longyuan anyway, so it doesn't particularly matter if I reveal it here. They do have the Maxx in response, but we also have the call by. Stings a little bit because we've got a Maxx of our own in our hand that we're now not going to be able to use during our opponent's turn, but yeah, it's not that big of a deal. It's definitely obviously worth it. Like, we're still going to do it. It's just like a little bit unideal, a little bit unfortunate, but... Okay, so now we're going to go into some pretty standard Swordsoul Tenyi plays here. We're going to lead with the Chixiao off the Mo Ye. As always, we are chain blocking the Chixiao and the Mo Ye, so the Mo Ye resolves second on the chain link, and then, is second on the chain link and therefore resolves first, is what I meant to say. So we'll get the draw of the Ashuna. We're actually going to end up discarding that, so I guess we did inadvertently reveal that we had the Mo Ye for no reason, but it's really not that big of a deal. I definitely want to grab the Emergence from the Chixiao here, as I'm going to want to summon a Protos. And actually, obviously, I don't know that we're playing against Despia yet, but given that we're playing against Despia, the Protos calling Dark here is going to put in some serious work. But, I mean, to be fair, there are a lot of archetypes that the, you know, Archnemesis Protos calling Dark will put a lot of work against, rather. So, yeah, even though I have the Baronne negate up, I'm going to let this Despia Theater of the Branded resolved, as well as the effect. Did you get the Despia and Quiratus, which I did remember was light. It's not that I forgot about it, but I was just like, yeah, I can just use Chixiao's effect here. It's not that big of a deal, so... the opponent's going to respond with a Branded in red. Now, I did actually stop and think about this for a moment. Like, I was looking at my opponent's graveyard and considering their field in their hand, and one of the important things that I wanted to check, too, when my opponent activated Branded in red, because I was trying to figure out, like, okay, do I need to negate this with Baron? There are a lot of people I think that would just snap negate this with Baron, but I think this is a really do you actually negate this with Baron type, you know, kind of clause. And you really think about it, right? It's like, well, we're already negating the Quiratus, and the Quiratus, if you look, can only be used once per turn, so we don't have to worry about this card for like pretty much the rest of this turn anymore, especially because it's going to summon, you know, either a Fallen of Albaz or a Despia monster from the deck. Well, those are all rather dark monsters, so they can't do that this turn anyway, so this card is effectively turned off. I'm not worried about it anymore. Fusion Destiny will allow them to add a card back, ideally, you know, probably rather their Allure, and then fuse it with the other card. But here's the thing, I'm thinking too about the rest of the extra deck, right? And I'm like I knew the Quiratus was light, but pretty much everything else is dark, so I don't think there's really anything in particular my opponent can do to threaten me with this branding in red. I'm actually just going to end up letting it resolve, which again might look a little weird, But the other thing I kind of figured too is like if my opponent does make some, you know, fusion monster that is going to ultimately end up being able to wreak havoc on my board, I can just negate whatever effect it uses with the Baron. And as you can see, it was in fact a bluff. The branded in red did not yield a fusion summon, just added the Albert back. And then that is... yeah, obviously, then at that point, they're not able to do anything, right? They can't summon Darks. They still have the Omni Negate up. Like, it's just kind of over at this point. So, yeah, just wanted to showcase how again, that's a pretty typical, like, opening Swordsoul Tenyi line, but that just also goes to show just how powerful this line is. Not only could potentially be, but definitely is as well. So, all right, let's go ahead and take a look at the next game. Alrighty, next game here is going to be against Fluanderies, which I kind of touched upon this earlier. I think is going to be one of the, scarier, it's not the right word I'm looking for. You know, it's one of those decks that's going to end up, you know, seeing a slight increase in power level due to the ban list, and it's going to be a little bit scary for that to be the case. So I guess, yeah, they are scarier. So opponent's going to take the first turn using the, what is that? Why can't I remember the name? The Unexplored Winds, right? To put back the Apex Avian and draw a card. So I will try to ash this duality because it seems pretty obvious to me that they're digging for a combo starter here, like a Rabina. Basically, they're just digging for Rabina. So they do have the Crossout Designator for the ash, which is a little bit unfortunate, but at the same time, it's like kind of whatever too. All right, so fortunately, the duality does not reveal anything too, you know, shocking or immediately demanding there. I guess like it's just another Maxi. So. Not really concerned about that at the moment. Obviously that might come up here, but we've got the Call by the Grave, so even though we're not gonna use our own Maxi. Actually, we are gonna use our Maxi here. So this is one thing I really love about Swordsoul Tenyi, and just kind of like I'm gonna say something I love about Halqed combos, which is like kind of what makes them so powerful. Which I know, but one thing that is cool about Halqed combos is that you can use pretty much any monster that you can normal summon as a combo piece, right? As long as you can get a tuner on the board. So like this hand might look dead at a glance, but all we have to do is special the Adhara and then normal the Maxi, which we can't use anyway, as we're about to call by our opponent's Maxi. So this is also really nice because it's going to leave them with just one card in hand, and we can pretty easily pick off the rest of their board with the good old Halqed combo. Alright, so yeah, like I said, we're going to summon the Maxi, link that off with the Adhara. That's going to make the Halqifibrax. And then, of course, we'll use Halq to get the Deskbot 001, and then the opponent just concedes at that point. But, yeah, those of you who already play Swordsoul Tenyi are probably already very familiar with that line. For those who aren't, I will post a link to my combo guide in the description, so that way you can take a look at it there. But basically, the idea is that it ends on... what is it? Baron, Chixiao, Protos. Just like all the stuff you usually end on, but you can do it like through some negates or like without a normal summon, something like that. Alright, let's go and take a look at the next game. Alright, so this game is going to be against Danger Kaiju, which is a deck I always come up against. Like, well, not always, I shouldn't say it like that, but what I mean to say when I say that, right, is that it's a deck I seem to come up against more often than I think I would. Like, based on this representation and like Master Duel meta and on in the format as a whole, like you don't really see it ranked anywhere. It is a very rogue deck, but I feel like I still see it all the time. I haven't seen a lot of Numerons lately now that I think about it. Of course, I probably just jinxed myself, and next time I try to record, I'm just going to end up playing it's nothing but Numerons. But yeah, I haven't really seen Numerons in, God, a couple of weeks at the very least, if not like a month by now. It's kind of wild, actually. But yeah, so I'm going to lead with the Baron here, not just to have an Omni negate up for my plays, but also so that way the Taia can have a target to banish here. I think I did actually misplay a little bit here, if I recall correctly. No, that might be a different game I was thinking of. Yeah, no, that's a different game I was thinking of, so. Alright, I'm going to add the Blackout here. Now, I know, like, I was just talking about adding, like, Protos with the Emergence, but we just don't have the right amount of attributes here. Oh, no, this was actually that game. Yeah, this was the game I was thinking of. If I actually kept the Adhara engrave, then obviously I wouldn't have the Longyuan back, but then I would still be able to have searched the Emergence for Protos here. But I'm actually fine setting up the Swordsoul Blackout here instead. So during the end phase, the opponent is going to try to Nibiru. I'm definitely going to use Baron's effect to negate that. And actually, this is a bit of a blessing in disguise for me, because now I can use Baron's effect during my opponent's standby phase, bring out a different worm or Swordsoul monster. It's going to end up being the Taia here. And then use that as an opportunity to negate, or not to negate, to block. Geez, words. I'm doing the thing I do sometimes where I record late and then I just say a sentence and then I just have that moment where I blink and I just lose track of everything I just said. So I'm sorry, you're gonna have to bear with me for that one. But yeah, in any case here, the opponent's gonna flip up a Denko, or not flip up, summon rather, a Denko Seka, right? Because I have the Blackout face down, I'm actually gonna immediately pop off with the Chixiao effect in response to the summon, because I want this back row to be alive, and I value the Blackout destruction a little bit higher than the Seka. Now, it does actually end up being pretty unfortunate that my opponent does have a Kaiju here, but you know, all the same, we are creeping closer to Nibiru territory. Danger Kaiju doesn't always get there, but sometimes it does. So let's see, we're at, what is it, 1, 2, 3, I think. 4. Yes, okay, so there's been 3 summons so far, right? The Archaeologist, who's replaced with the Moth. The Archaeologist? What the fuck did I just say? The Chixiao. Good lord. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, you guys. I really am out of it right now. Anyway, that's gonna do it. The Archaeologist. What part of my brain did that get pulled from? I couldn't even tell you. I don't even, like... Oh god. Alright, well, we've got one more game. And let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, so this game is actually kind of interesting. Like, this deck, I guess I should say I'm playing it, this is kind of interesting. It's kind of a Danger Kaiju-ish deck, but it's actually not playing, like, mostly monsters. It's actually playing a lot of Floodgates, and it's only using a much smaller, like, level 8/rank 8 engine. So I'm gonna go second here. I'm pretty hopeful about my opening hand, right? Giving them going second. It's Ash Blossom, Nibiru, and Imperm, all very, very good, cards. Obviously, going second against most things. And then we've also got Adhara and Mo Ye for plays during the next turn. But unfortunately, the opponent is just going to set 2 cards, reveal the Lord of the Heavenly Prison, and pass. So yeah, now my going second cards don't really do a whole lot in a case like that. So the other thing I have to struggle with too here, right, is if I want to go for the Mo Ye line or the Halq line. And basically what I mean by that is, like, if I want to summon Halqifibrax, I'm going to have to special the Adhara while I have no monsters on the field. And then probably just like normal summon the Mo Ye and link those off for Halq. Or I could summon Mo Ye and reveal the Adhara, but obviously the problem is that I can't do both because, well, yeah, obviously the Adhara has to be on board to be linked away for Halq, but it also has to be in hand for the Mo Ye to reveal. So I went back and forth a bit, and I ultimately decided to go for the Halq line. I think the main reason I wanted to do that is because I felt like it was a little bit, weirdly, a little bit less risky than going for the Mo Ye line. Like, yeah, we do give up our Halq here if it gets negated, and yeah, it is going to get negated by... Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's going to get compulsed, not negated. I thought it got impermed here, but that's right. Our opponent, compulsory evacuation device of all cards, and, yeah, anyway, I thought if the Halq got stopped, like, that would be a little bit better, I guess, but, I guess ultimately it didn't really end up making a difference because obviously we just got stopped either way. Although I guess in this case it was a little better because the thing I was afraid of, which would have happened here, is my opponent removing the Mo Ye but not the Swordsoul token, which is going to prevent me from doing any kind of like link plays during my upcoming turns, which are going to more than likely be vitally important in order to like kind of come back here. So in any case, yeah, we're not looking too hot here. Until we draw the Archnemesis Protos, I'm actually going to flip up Imperm and negate the Lord of the Heavenly Prison, but I'm not going to really do it to negate the Lord of the Heavenly Prison. I'm mostly doing it to turn off this back row in case like a Solemn Judgment or Warning or Strike, whatever. Just something that can stop this Protos. I don't think Strike actually can now that I think about it, but no, it's any summon, no special. I don't know, whatever. In any case, Solemn Judgment or something like that. I just want to make sure that my Protos is going to resolve here because I can call Dark, blow up this Lord of the Heavenly Prison, and then just kind of like beat in for 25, which isn't like a winning strategy necessarily, but is at least the most promising one I think we can muster, excuse me, at this point. Alright, Alright, so here they drop the Pankratops, and now I'm like really confused. So I'm like, wait, this definitely isn't obviously Eldritch at this point. But no, yeah, like I said, it's a kind of a danger kaiju deck, but again, they've cut out most of the monsters, a lot of the monsters rather, for the spells and trap cards, so. Alright, at this point we are more or less just flying in top deck mode as we rip the Maxi. Unfortunately, that's not going to be quite enough. We're just going to have to set it in pass. And that is actually kind of something that the deck does struggle with, Swordsoul Tenyi. It doesn't happen too often at all, but there are times where you just kind of like run out of things to do. And then you have a low number of cards in hand, and that kind of sucks because, you know, unless you top deck like a Taia or something, then you just don't have the resources, because most of Swordsoul Tenyi's plays are like kind of 2-card combos, so to speak. Like, you know, the Mo Ye revealing a card, the Longyuan having to discard one again. Taia you can kind of get away with because it's just a banish one from the graveyard, but still. Okay, so we do have one more chance to try to draw the out here, but I mean, the opponent's got the Zeus, so they've just got it at this point. But yeah, unfortunately, not a whole lot we could do here. But yeah, I just thought this was interesting. It kind of made me stop to think, like, yeah, why don't more like obviously I know why more like, you know, kaiju or danger kaiju decks don't play like this style, but I think this style is one that could be definitely fleshed out a bit. So yeah, all right, that's all I've got for the games. Let's go and take a look at the outro. All right, everybody, I want to thank you all, as always, for watching to the very end of the video like this. That means a lot to not only me personally, but is also a great way to support the channel there. I also want to thank everyone who is commenting and subscribing. Comments, love to see you. If you have suggestions for the build, like I talked about at the beginning of the video, I added desires as a suggestion from the last video. So if you have any suggestions for the again, this is a post-ban list build that we're testing here, so which again just means that we're only playing one Crossout. Doesn't mean anything else for Swordsoul Tenyi, but yeah, again, if you have any suggestions, definitely throw them in the comments there, and I will definitely take a look at those. And yeah, subscribing, like I said, great way to support the channel, and does notify you when videos drop, which does happen every single day. So know that when you subscribe, you do get a daily Master Duel video. But that is going to do it for today's daily Master Duel video. So without further ado, this is Xlex. I'm signing out. Hope you guys have a fantastic day.